Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. We've got Ash back from Preston Journalist. He's not that Preston Journalist anymore now, he's just Preston Journalist. And don't forget, he's had his account at YouTube wiped by a hacker. He's had to start again. So go in the description of this video, find the link to his channel, click it, go subscribe to his channel. You won't regret it. So, Ash, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Nick. Nice to be back. Thank you.
Let's jump straight into it. There's only one news story at the moment, and that's Trump. Did you see it coming? What do you think?
I did see it coming for at least a couple of weeks before the election. I made several videos saying I didn't think it was going to be close. I thought Trump was going to win by a landslide, which he basically has done. The only people, as far as I'm concerned, who thought he was going to lose, or was so the Aurora Stewarts of this world, who now look completely stupid, they, through ideology, nothing else, thought that Trump was going to lose because they willed it so much. They wanted Harris to win.
It was wishful thinking, wasn't it, on their behalf?
Definitely. Trump was never going to lose that election. I personally think it's fantastic news for the West. It's fantastic news for the free world. Bit of a beacon, if you will, to the UK. Unfortunately, we've gone the opposite direction by voting in a left-wing government. But most of Europe is going this way now. The Americans have had enough now. And it couldn't be better news for hopefully to start a trend now where Britain can finally get away from this, let's face it, left-wing duopoly of the Tories and the Labour Party. And maybe we can follow the Americans' example in a few years' time.
Absolutely. You said two things there that I want to follow up on. The first thing is you said this could be good for the world. What do you mean by that?
I think if you look, all these people like to say that Trump's a warmonger, Trump's this, he's a racist, he's KKK, all that absolute rubbish. He's the only US president in the last few decades not to start a single conflict. If anything, the only thing he did do was help to defeat ISIS. And if you look at all the other presidents, they've started a conflict somewhere and ended up bombing somebody. Trump got North and South Korea to sit around a table. That's no mean feat in itself. He managed to keep Xi in China in his box. He managed to keep Putin in his box. He sanctioned Putin more than any world leader in history has ever sanctioned Russia. And yet, Putin still didn't start a war. And he said he actually got on quite well with him. Because these people, like Xi and like Putin, only respect one thing, and that is strength. That is fighting fire with fire, essentially. And Trump can do that. But they look at someone like Biden, who was going senile anyway. You look at Harris, who just sits there cackling. You look at Starmer and even von der Leyen and all that. These people aren't going to stand up to China or Russia and put them in their place. But Trump will, because he's just unpredictable enough. The chances are, as we all know, he's probably not going to nuke somebody, is he? But he's just unpredictable enough to make them think twice about doing something stupid like invading Taiwan or possibly Putin invading Ukraine when Trump was in power, because he's just scared enough that he might actually do something that would be cataclysmic for Russia or China.
No, I completely agree. And that's because Trump is a masculine man. He has his boundaries. He draws lines in sands and he goes, no, you cross that, there'll be trouble. And the other leaders in the world know it to be true. And that's not because he personally is a terrifying person, but it's because he's in charge of the biggest, most complex army in the world. So therefore, you don't know what he's going to do with that army. And at the moment, this might not be forever, but at the moment, it's still the most powerful army in the world. Even China is afraid because they're not ready yet to take on the US.
No, definitely not. If you remember back to last time he was in the White House and he sat down with Kim Jong-un first, and the story has it that Kim Jong-un actually threatened Trump and said, I've got missiles that can reach America and I will do this, I will do that. And Trump actually turned around to him allegedly and said, you might have missiles, he said, but the difference is mine work and I will use them on you if I have to. And after that, lo and behold, he sat around the table with South Korea. Now tensions are rising again there. You've seen recently tensions on the border between the demilitarized zone between the two countries. But that would never have happened if Trump had stayed in office. And I am absolutely adamant that Putin would not have gone into Ukraine had Trump have been in office. I'm absolutely certain of that.
Well, I don't think Putin would have gone into Ukraine if Biden hadn't have pulled out of Afghanistan. And and the shambles that caused. America looked like weak cowards running away. They left billions of pounds worth of resources there. Afghanistan, I think, apart from America, has the most Black Hawk helicopters in the world. They can't fly them, by the way, but they have the second most in the world.
The Taliban became, I think it was the seventh best armed force in the entire world, just by the virtue of America leaving all that stuff behind. And on a more somber note, let's not forget that during that chaotic withdrawal, which was unbelievable. I mean, remember, Biden didn't even tell his allies, didn't even tell us that he was about to do this. He just decided to do it. 13 US soldiers were killed on those couple of days trying to withdraw. It turned it from an organized withdrawal, which Trump was going to do anyway. He announced that. It went from that to the last helicopter out of Saigon. That quickly how things turned. And the Taliban were emboldened, of course, to go after the American troops then and say, they even gave them an ultimatum saying, get out or we're going to attack you in 48 hours or something. You're right. It looked like, a completely chaotic retreat when it should have just been an organized withdrawal.
Every army in the history of the world has always been very careful not to leave their weapons, whether it be bow and arrows or cannons, to leave them behind for the enemy to take. That's why every cannon we used to have came with a spike. And when you knew you were being overrun, when you were having to evacuate and leave your cannons behind, you put the spike in the hole where the gunpowder goes and you snapped it off so they could never get that out and use that cannon. Every ship has a plug. So when your Royal Navy ship gets overrun by the Germans in World War II, the captain would order the plug being pulled out so you'd sink your own ship rather than give it to the enemy. And what the Americans failed to do was that 101 of what you do when you're being overrun. They should have blown up all those ammunition dumps, all those helicopters, all the ammunition, all the rifles, should have blown them all up. But they were too busy running away. It was a shambles.
But there was no need to run away, though, was there? There was sufficient resources from us, from other countries that were all in the same area to simply sit there and say, what really they should have done as a position of strength, this is what Trump would have done, I believe, is turn around and say, don't threaten us. You want us to withdraw, we're going to withdraw, but we'll do it in our own time. And if you want to come and have a scrap, then come on. That's what they should have done. And they wouldn't have gone for him. But Biden allowed it to happen. Harris allowed it to happen. Amazingly, these generals in America, supposed to be some of the best you can think of, they allowed it to happen. And it's the troops on the ground I felt sorry for, trying to actually withdraw from the place that were completely betrayed by their own governments.
So when you say generals in the American army, do you mean the male generals that wear dresses? Because that's how bad their top brass has become. Now, you also said Trump could be good for the UK and Britain. What do you foresee there?
It's no secret that he loves the UK. Obviously, he's said it many a time that his mum was Scottish. He loves Britain. It could also be good politically for the people of the UK because it's going to mean a massive shake-up, I think, at the top of this ludicrous government we've got in charge now. I mean, Starmer, God only knows why, but he came out 2 days ago and committed to keeping David Lammy as Foreign Secretary for 5 years. I mean, what Prime Minister in history, if you can name me one, has ever committed to keeping any minister in any position for their full term as Prime Minister? I can't think of it ever happening.
Only an ideologue would make such a statement.
And it's not going to happen anyway. Well, I know Trump's being quite measured now and polite and JD Vance's and all the rest of them. But that when it comes to January, they're going to start turning the screw. And they are going to say, we're not dealing with this arsehole that called me this and called me that. Trump's a very powerful, strong man, but he's also quite thin-skinned. And he will not take that lying down. All the things that these people have said about him, these sixth form students, basically, they're still behaving like sixth form students now. They haven't changed their opinions on him. They believe it from an ideological standpoint. And people, all right, you can't exactly get rid of your whole cabinet because Trump says so. But people like Lammy, they're going to have to go over to the US a lot and work with our most powerful and most important ally in the world, are not going to last 5 minutes when Trump gets into power. They'll be saying, I tell you what's going to, well, it's just, my prediction was actually Starmer's going to have to go cap in hand to Farage, which will be humiliating for him. That's I can see that happening for that. Not official ambassadorial role, but some sort of envoy or something like that, unofficial envoy or go between, if you will, liaison officer between the government and Trump.
I don't think that will happen. I think Trump may force that to happen. I don't think an ideologue like Keir Starmer would ever go to Farage. Even if he knows it's going to damage the country, if he doesn't, he still wouldn't do it. But I can see Trump forcing his arm into doing that. Let me jump back about what you said then about how he may treat Lammy and Keir Starmer. If you're an enemy of the US, and the US and the West have got many enemies around the world, what message does that send to the rest of the world if Trump rips a strip off Keir Starmer? The message that sends is, right, if he's willing to do that to his closest ally, the things his foreign secretary said, what's he going to do to us if we invade our neighbour? Or we do this, or we front it. If he's willing to do that to their number one friend in the world, he's going to bomb the crap out of us. That sends a very good message across the world that Trump isn't for playing anymore.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so he could actually use Starmer, who I've got absolutely no doubt will not get along with Trump anyway. But they've got to, for obviously appearances' sake and politics. But yeah, he could actually use him as some sort of leverage, if you will, to show there an example to the world of, yeah, I mean, I actually care about Britain and I'm willing to shaft them lot. So just think you better watch yourselves because I'll do 10 times worse to you. I think you're right. And I also think you're right on the point about Farage and Starmer. I've got no doubt whatsoever Starmer would never approach Farage to take this role up because he'd be signing his own political death warrant. He'd have Labour would boot him out instantly if he went begging to Farage. But Trump could make that happen. Trump can say, right, well, I'm not working with you. You either put my friend Nigel as some sort of liaison between us, or we're breaking off ties. We're just not going to deal with you at all. And if America break off ties, we can't underestimate the power that the American government holds over the British government. If anything, they've probably got more power over the UK than our own government has because we need America so badly, both militarily and economically. So it could easily make that happen.
Yeah, let me give you another scenario. Trump and Farage get together and come up with a plan, and it's this. Farage offers his services to Keir Starmer, which he's done publicly already on TV, that he'll work behind the scenes. He doesn't want any praise. He'll work behind the scenes because he loves this country and he's a patriot. Fantastic. Trump says to Starmer, right, I've got deals for you. I'll do this, I'll do that, but I only deal with Farage. And Starmer says no. Then Farage and Trump tell the press, we had a deal. We had an amazing deal for the UK. It was the best deal ever. But Starmer said no to it. And then Farage uses that as political capital to grow Reform UK and to get more of a standing and to beat Labour in the House of Commons with. That is the scenario I can see coming because you're right. If Starmer allows Farage too much airtime and too much importance dealing with America, he loses his backbenchers. But the flip side to that is he then cuts off his nose to spite his face because he doesn't improve the UK because we need America. This is one of those situations that I can foresee with other things happening that we don't know, bringing down the government in the next couple of years.
I honestly, it's actually not. It is a mess of Starmer's making because of the stupid comments that he and others have made. But it was such an easy open goal. I mean, there's nothing Labour could have really done to stop it, but it was the easiest open goal for Farage I've ever seen. I made a video saying this is win-win for Farage, and it absolutely was. He has to offer his services to Starmer, like you just said, publicly, showing the world, showing the UK, Reform UK is willing to help the country here, even if it means helping a party that we're politically opposed to in every possible measure.
Yeah.
And then he knows full well that Starmer's going to turn him down. And he looks stupid. And like you just said, if him and Trump can come to a deal, which is highly likely between them, them two could bring Starmer down a lot faster than anybody realizes. Yeah. Just think of the impact on the markets if America decided to slap a load of tariffs on goods from the UK and things like that. The markets alone could bring Starmer down.
Exactly. So if Trump says, we had this deal for the UK, but the deal's been rejected by Starmer because he won't talk to Farage, And unfortunately, all exports from the UK now to America has got 15% tariff on them. It was going to be zero, but because your government won't deal with my main man, Nigel Farage, I'm going to have to charge you 15%. And you're an independent country, but I just thought I'd let you know. That is enough to bring Starmer and his government down.
Yeah, it is. Without a doubt. I mean, I'll say it again. It was such an awkward goal, but such a good move by Farage to say that publicly. Because it just puts Starmer in an impossible position. There's really no way he can get out of it. If he takes the deal with Farage, he loses his own party. If he doesn't take the deal with Farage, he loses the country. Or the business community, if you will, the markets and all that. It really is one hell of a catch-22 for Starmer. And he's not very politically bright anyway. So he's never going to think of a way out of it.
Yeah. Do you want to be shot in the head or shot in the heart?
Yeah, it is.
That's his choice.
What did Gary Neville say once on Sky Sports? He said, it's like choosing between two men to sleep with your wife. What sort of an option have you got there?
But well, knowing Gary Neville, that probably comes from experience. Coming up with that quip. So let's now look at America. What do you think Trump's going to do to improve America, and how?
His first genius move for me is bringing Elon Musk into the fold.
Yeah.
There's nobody in the world knows, well, very few people in the world know more about business than Elon Musk. And apparently he's going to cut $2 trillion from the wastage and the bureaucracy that goes on inside Washington, getting rid of all these diversity officers, getting rid of all this DEI stuff, and actually getting down to brass tacks and making sure that people are actually doing the jobs. He said himself, there's so much duplication going on, which happens in this country as well with quangos and God knows what else. They're going to cut all that. He reckons anyway, he's going to bring an end to the war in Ukraine, which would be no bad thing in my opinion. China will back off, I think, from Taiwan. As you said, they're not ready to fight a war with the US. I'd be surprised if they ever... Not yet, but I don't think they ever would be, to be honest with you. But then, I mean, we've already seen Putin saying that he's willing to speak to Trump now about a peace deal. That didn't take long, did it? And Hamas also turned around within 24 hours and said, we want peace in the region. They haven't said that once. Yeah. But as soon as Trump gets in, bang, we want peace. So I think stability is the first thing he's going to focus on. But obviously it's going to be America first. And he has said that a lot of people are going to find that a lot of tariffs are going to be put on their goods, and he's going to do that. Whether it happens to the UK or not, it probably will. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. It's going to happen to a lot of countries that trade with the US. He's a businessman, and he's a ruthless businessman at that. You don't get to where he is without being ruthless. So he will put his own country first, and as far as I'm concerned, I applaud him for that.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah, even if it is at the expense of the UK, the UK is not really his concern. That's my concern. He's going to put his own people first. The 74 million people that voted for him.
What do you think he's going to do about mass migration?
He's going to resurrect the wall again, isn't he? I think he's going to. I'd have thought so. Anyway, I don't see any other way of doing it. He's already said there can be mass deportations.
Yeah,
and a lot of these states, the southern states, the Republicans really rely on for these votes.
Yeah,
I mean, some of them he only just won. Like Arizona was extremely close in the race, and the Republicans need states like Arizona and Texas, etc. And these are the states that are the worst affected by this border crossing. Something like 11 million people have crossed that border illegally since Biden and Harris came into office. And this was also part of Harris's problem, wasn't it? She's trying to tell people, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. She didn't say she's going to curb mass migration, did she? But she said she's going to sort the border out. She's been sat there for 4 years. What's she done about it? So that's part of the problem. And Trump, I think Trump will do it. I don't think he cares how much it annoys people, how much it annoys the Democrats. They've just won the House of Representatives. Yeah. They've won the Senate. They've got the White House. They can do literally whatever they like because no one's going to stop them.
And he's also got the popular vote this time as well.
Yeah, he's got the popular vote as well this time. Yeah, so he will start. I think he'll start mass deportations. I don't see why not. He's already outlined several towns in the debates that were going on, where like Springfield, Ohio, and places like that. Where it's probably rubbish, that thing about eating cats and dogs, I think. But nevertheless, these are towns that he's highlighted that are being overrun. People are unhappy. People have voted for Trump because the local towns and cities, the demographics are changing. It's being filled with down and outs that turn up and just sponge off the system whilst everybody else goes to work. And these are the places that he'll clean up, and then that should pave the way probably for another Republican president in another 4 years' time, as long as he does what he says he'll do.
Yeah, because what people may not know is Trump can never run again to be president. You only can be president twice, and this is his second time, so he'll never run again. I think that's why he'll go all out in this next 4 years. He's got nothing to lose. He'll take a wrecking ball to things he doesn't like because he doesn't care. I'm not trying to be popular. I've got 4 years to set the agenda, to do all the heavy lifting, because the people who come after me then will have a better, easier ride to improve the country. So I think he's going to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, well, I don't see why not. Yeah, I mean, who's going to come after him? You've probably got a DeSantis, although he didn't do too well when he stood, did he really? Yeah. You've probably got like a Nikki Haley, a bit too woke even for a Republican really to stand. Tulsi Gabbard used to be a Democrat, but she's now quite a prominent Trump supporter. She could stand.
If he does excellent, well, I think if he does excellent over the next 4 years, I think the shoo-in will be JD Vance. It will be, if you've liked what we've done in 4 years, I'm the continuity candidate.
I'd never heard of him, until he got selected as Trump's deputy. He's actually done really well throughout it. You could see what was happening, couldn't you? Trump was doing the main debates and the rallies and stuff, and Trump said in his victory speech that he was basically telling JD Vance, go to CNN, go to NBC, go to ABC, all these people that hate us, and give them hell. And that's all he did. He said he just went to all the places that don't like him, and he just sat there, announced the policies, and let them slag him off. He did the heavy lifting, if you will, while Trump stood there in front of the people that liked him. But he was good at it. He did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. I woke up on Wednesday morning. The first thing I did was I reached for my phone. How's the election gone? And all I could see was, it looks like Trump has won. It looks like Trump has won. It was like, oh, thank God for that. And I'm hoping that might have had something to do with it as well. I had a Trump hat.
I've got one somewhere. I can't find
it. Me and my colleague wore them on our podcast, The Mayor and I, because the last time we filmed one was the day of the elections. We bought MAGA hats just for a joke. That's why I got it. I don't want around the streets with it on. Is there anything that you think Trump needs to watch out for? What are the pitfalls he may stumble into?
He's got to watch out for assassination attempts first and foremost.
Yeah,
I was absolutely. I can't prove this, and it's a bit conspiratorial, but I'm absolutely certain the state was after getting him. Some people in the state were after getting him. With the way these assassination attempts took place, I know it wasn't. I'm not saying it's FBI trying to take him out or anything like that, but these people were able to get that close to him in his rallies and stuff. These lefties are very, very dangerous people, and they call people like me fascists for being on the right of politics. But these are the most dangerous people around. These lefties, their anger and their rage, especially when it comes to Trump, knows absolutely no bounds whatsoever. What Trump's got to watch out for is he's quite gaff prone, isn't he? Don't do anything stupid. Do what you said in your promises to the people, your pledges to America. Follow through on those promises on mass immigration, on the economy, on bringing down inflation, on food prices, all these important issues. Forget net zero, get drilling. And that's what they kept saying, was drill, baby, drill. That was the phrase, wasn't it, they were using? He's also got Robert Kennedy Jr., who's going to take over the health side of things by the looks of it. A very sensible man by the looks of it as well. So I think he'll be good. He's actually bringing forward quite a coalition, and that was the genius of the campaign. The coalition he managed to get, it wasn't just with all due respect, it wasn't just your rednecks down in Texas that were voting for Trump, your cowboys and stuff like that. Everybody tries to portray them as. This was Black Americans, this was Muslim Americans, Jewish Americans. All the coalition that he managed to build was unreal, and that's why you can get someone like Robert Kennedy Jr. on side. He managed to get Joe Rogan on side, which is, the biggest podcaster in the world, I imagine. And Joe Rogan has always been against Trump. He's not a supporter of him at all, but he won him round. And that's, as long as he doesn't do anything stupid, I don't think he's got too much to watch out for. He's just don't make any stupid comments about women or, groping somebody or something stupid like that. Just do the job you've been put there and elected to do, and I think he'll be absolutely fine. In fact, I look forward to the next 4 years to see how he does.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next 6 months. It won't be January till he takes over the office, and then let's see what he does his first 100 days. I'm looking forward to it.
I was going to say that you watch these first 100 days, compare it to all our rubbish over here, and watch how much he can get done in this first 100 days.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he can. He's got months now to plan exactly what he's going to do, and he's got a great team behind him.
Yeah.
Cheers, Ash. Let's catch up on Trump well, when he's in office in January, and we'll see what's going on there. But cheers for coming back on.
Yeah, cheers, Nick. Thank you.